Good morning, everybody. Okay, we're gonna keep our time schedule. If I have timekeepers, let me know time's running long. But we'll start off with LBH this morning. We have met with them, myself, Shirley, and Angela, on a colorectal cancer screening initiative. And we would like for you guys to share the information at your level, from your council on aging, your senior centers, and let everyone know the state is looking to increase colorectal cancer screenings by 2%. So I feel like we could go above and beyond the 2%. So when we were asked to join the initiative, we joined in, got information. The ladies have brought printed information for you, and I will be sending you an email with electronic information. So this is all about just disseminating information and wanting to reach residents 45 to 75. So we got a good span there, our participants and their family members. So we have Elizabeth Atkins from the Office of Aging Services, and Ms. Francis will help her, not Aging Services. Oh, also from Office of Aging Services.
Good morning, everyone. It's nice to see you guys. We're sort of like cousins because we're a Department of Health, Office of Aging, your Council on Aging. So it's really nice to see all your faces, and I really appreciate the opportunity to work with Ms. Shirley, Angela, Shavon. So Shavon is right. So my name is Elizabeth Atkins. I'm the Deputy Assistant Secretary for the Office of Aging and Adult Services. I brought some team members. Francis Landry Rippey is the Senior Advisor to the Assistant Secretary. Passing out information is Teresa Forrester. Teresa Forrester oversees all of our home and community-based regional operations across the state. And in the back, we have Kirsten Claybear. She's our Policy Director. So, Louisiana Department of Health, under Dr. Phillips' guidance, issued a business plan back in July. And that business plan just laid out several areas that the Department of Health is very, very strategically working to improve the lives of people across the state. One of those initiatives really focuses on cancer. Cancer rates in Louisiana is higher than other states. And one of the really specific goals is about colorectal cancer screening. What I have in this presentation is a lot of statistics about colorectal cancer here in Louisiana. Screening has been shown to help early detection, improves the outcome for the person. Colorectal cancer screening is recommended for people ages 45 through 75, which falls in that category that we all work with. So our ask of you guys is to take some of these materials that we're sharing with you and share them with the individuals that you work with in your area, in your parish. We want to collectively encourage all seniors across Louisiana to talk to their doctor about colorectal cancer screening. Our goal is to increase screenings by 2%. I don't need you to track who went to the doctor and who did a screening, because we can pick that up in Medicaid and in Medicare data. So the ask is just for you to share information and really encourage people who participate in your programs to talk to their doctors about screening. The information we're handing out, it's 2 flyers and the PowerPoint presentation. Shavon does have a copy of the PowerPoint, so she'll email it to you. And she also has a media toolkit. So the flyers in that media toolkit is an electronic version that you can email out. You can put it on Facebook, Twitter, whatever you guys do in terms of social media, your websites, mail it to participants, print it and give it to participants. So you can kind of use it however you need to, and whatever works best for the people you work with. So Francis, you want to click on the video and see if it works? I'm not sure if our video will work, but because you're getting a copy of the PowerPoint, when you're back at your offices, you can click on the YouTube link and watch the short video. It's not working? Okay, it's okay. It's Dr. Phillips, our Assistant Secretary. not assistant, the secretary for LDH, talking about colorectal cancer screening. Can we go to the next slide? So these are some numbers. So Louisiana colorectal cancer mortality rate, so deaths from colorectal cancer is higher in Louisiana than in other states. And again, we're looking to increase the screenings by 2%. In Louisiana, 16.4 people with colorectal cancer die, whereas in the rest of the United States, 13.7. So whenever you kind of do the math and spread that across people, that's a lot more lives in Louisiana we lose to colorectal cancer. So right now, only 37% of Medicaid individuals have been screened for colorectal cancer. For something that's so deadly for our fellow neighbors, not a lot of people are doing the preventative screenings, which this statistic here is what led to us wanting to really promote this. Colorectal screening involves your colon and poop, and it's not something a lot of people talk about, and it's really important that we do. So Maryburg Perkins is a big partner to LTH, and you can click on that link. And again, when you get the electronic version, all the links will work. And you can find a screening provider in your area, so that if you have someone who doesn't know who to call, where to go, you can help them with that. There are take-home tests, and I'll go into a little bit more detail there. COAs is the manufacturer of a screening test. Medicaid and Medicare does pay for a person to do the screening. It's an at-home screening in your own home, much less invasive than the full colonoscopy. Okay, so here is some myths about colorectal cancer, and this is the kind of flyer that you'll get in that toolkit that you can put on websites, give to participants, give to families. Okay, so a myth is if you don't have family history of colorectal cancer, you're not at risk. But it is a myth. The fact is, a screening should be done for everyone ages 45 through 75. And then screenings are only for people with symptoms, and that's a myth too. I think that we can all think of actual people we know that didn't necessarily have symptoms, but then found out that they did in fact have cancer. And sometimes by the time you find out, it's very, very advanced. So we want to promote as much as possible to the people we work with to go get those screenings before you have a problem. And expensive. Some people view it as being very expensive. Like I said, Medicaid, Medicare does pay for it. It is in that standard array of screenings that are paid. It's also paid by most major health insurances. So if the participants attending your Council on Aging programs have private insurance, it's highly, highly, highly likely that this colorectal cancer screening is paid by that insurance as well. And then I haven't been screened because I'm only 45. Well, for years and years, the recommended ages started at age 50, but in 2021, that was moved down to 45, again, trying to catch people before they really have advanced cancer. Okay. So these are the various tests available, and this gets a little bit weedy, but it might be good information for you to know. Some people think that the only way they can be screened is by having a colonoscopy, which is that's a big deal. You gotta get sedated, it's very invasive, you gotta drink the stuff ahead of time. But what we want you guys to know is there are some at-home tests that a person can do in the privacy of their own home. They don't have to go to the doctor, nobody has to be digging around anywhere, and you can get this screening, okay? So this flyer, actually, you can print this front to back, and what we've done with our waiver participants is we've literally put this in their hand and told them, take this with you to the doctor and just hand it to the doctor and tell your doctor that your case manager recommended you come and talk to him about this. So I'll be sure y'all have the electronic copy of this as well. But it goes through why you need to get a screening, and it also goes through the different kinds of screening. So every single year, a person can do that in-home screening kit. You collect a sample, you mail it into a laboratory. That laboratory sends the results to your doctor and to you. Insurance does pay for this, so it's it's a little bit easier to pitch that than the full colonoscopy. A colonoscopy is recommended for, by and large, actually every 10 years. Some people with concerns or clinical need, their doctor may recommend more, but most people can do the at-home screening every year. Okay. And here is tons of different resources. If anyone needs more information, we wanted to arm you with more information to give them. The biggest message is it's a big deal. We don't want to lose our fellow neighbors and our seniors in our community because of a cancer that went undetected. So the biggest ask is to just please message to everyone to talk to their doctor about getting a screening. It shouldn't cost them any out-of-pocket money. It can be done in your own home. And if that screening indicates there's a larger problem, then we're catching it early before it becomes, a stage 4 cancer kind of issue, which we don't want for anyone. Does anyone have any questions? Is there any more information that I can provide to help you with this messaging to the seniors that you all work with? Yes, ma'am.
This is, seems pretty clinical, so it is okay that lay people go and talk about this stuff.
Yes, it is. And the reason is because our message is to ask the person or encourage the person to go talk to their doctor to have the clinical conversation. Our case managers and the people that are in Office of Aging programs had the same concern. And we were able, what a lot of people did is they printed the different flyers and gave it to the participant and just go, next time you go to the doctor, bring this with you and have a conversation. So yeah, I completely appreciate the clinical aspect is intimidating, but if we could collectively just encourage the person to go to the doctor and have that clinical conversation with them, then I think we're gonna see an increase in who gets the screenings. Thank you for that. Yes, ma'am.
Do you have a group that goes around to give these speeches to?
No, but we can be available if that's helpful.
Okay, have a wellness center, so.
Okay.
And we're always looking for educational opportunities.
Yeah, absolutely. We'd be happy to. Anything else? My name is Elizabeth Atkins. I'll be sure that, Shavon has my email, and when she shares info, I'll be sure that she shares my email address. So if you guys have additional questions, and you know what, me or one of my team members, if you really have a participant like looking at you who needs more info, call. We'll talk it through on the phone right quick. I can find somebody at Office of Aging. We have a couple of nurses, so we can find someone to talk to a person if that, I get it. Sometimes you have that person looking at you and they want answers, so we'll help you try to get them. Thank y'all very much. We appreciate your time.
While Shavon is taking care of the audiovisual. I would like all of the Office Building Affairs staff to come up and introduce yourself so they can put a face with voice. All of the Office of Elderly Affairs staff. Some of them know you, but some of them don't know you.
Angela. Rank and file. She said Angela. Rank and file.
Good morning, I am Angela Calhoun. I was just appointed to the Deputy Assistant position. I am excited to be working with you all and look forward to whatever comes, hopefully all positive. Okay, Michelle?
I guess I'll be next. I don't think anyone here knows me. I'm Michelle Hillary. Stop throwing things, okay? I'm over the elder rights and compliance planning. Next.
Go this way?
It doesn't matter.
Okay.
Someone volunteer.
It doesn't matter. I'm Sherry Crane. I am the compliance and planning manager, and I took Michelle's last position. So MIPA, I handle MIPA, and then we the state ombudsman, disaster plans, and federal reporting. Just to sum it up quickly. Go ahead,
Kayla Doyle, I am the disaster manager for Elderly Affairs. So I handle your disaster plans. So if anybody has not submitted your disaster plan to me, they were due on April 15th, just a reminder. So if y'all could please get those to me, I would appreciate it.
Hi, I'm Jessica Ross. I am the Senior Rx ADRC program manager. So I'm over both the Senior Rx and the ADRC programs.
Jeremy Bridges, Program Monitor for Region 2. And I've really been enjoying working with my region. Even though it's been a very difficult year, I'm really hoping that we'll be able to get through this together.
Hi, I'm Tracy Swilly with Elderly Affairs. Elderly Protective Services, Tracy Swilly.
Hi, I am Tracy Swilly with Elderly Protective Services. I usually am your first point of contact when you're calling in to make a report.
Hello, I'm Michelle Vincent. I am the program monitor for Region 4. I see a lot of familiar faces. I hope y'all enjoy our meeting.
Hi, I'm Crystal Bob, and I am one of the auditors for the Finance Department.
Good morning, I'm Ebony Green, and I'm the audit supervisor.
My name is Robert Caruth. I'm an auditor.
Good morning, guys. I am Charlene Alphlorn, Region 1 in the house. Hi, guys.
Good morning, everyone. I am Laura Jackson, and I am the accountant administrator. It's good to see y'all faces. It's been a while, but it's good to see y'all.
Thanks, Doug.
But everybody.
Good morning, I'm Shavon, Humphrey. Thank you, Missy. Y'all gotta give me more spunk. I'm gonna be your favorite troublemaker, Jessica. Are you gonna record me? So, we were asked to do a panel discussion. So I don't have anything for you guys that I haven't already given you physically. Shirley printed some information for you. I'm gonna get a copy though, so I'm gonna get a copy. This is led by you guys, so you'll give me information. Thank you. I will. From the printouts that we passed out while Ms. Elizabeth was speaking, area plan information, the 2-page document are the areas they're emphasizing when we do area plan activities. It gives you overview and areas to address. This is what I'll use when I define and set up and get ready to do our regional plannings with you all to complete area plan. I know we normally would have started by now. We are behind going on our routine schedule. They've had a reauthorization of the Older Americans Act occur in 21. So we gotta pull all that information in. It affects the needs assessment surveys that you guys do. So you can't actually start your needs assessment survey prep because we need to build in those components. But when I say we, the federal level is doing it already. They're just making sure everything is included and then we can move forward. So once we get that situated, we'll be ready to roll as usual. And the expected timeframe is about mid-May, which is right around the corner. So I'm expecting to be tied up with area plan from now until the end of this year, making sure we have all these steps in place. So I'll call on you for panels, powwows, discussions, coalitions, feedback, anything. If I need you, I'm calling. I'll come to you too, as long as you feed me something local and good. I mean, I know the council agent, of course I'll encourage there, but I'll be there late enough for you to feed me something. This one is the area plan guidance, the thicker packet. And yes, because Jim Rob already pointed out that it's front and back. Yes, I didn't want you to read it all. No, I don't want you to discard it. But it does come from a portion of a document, but this is the focal point, the two documents that Shirley printed and brought over for us. So we will sit here and speak loudly and take your questions and discuss whatever you want to discuss. So, oh, I'm sorry. I lost my page trying to hunt down my laptop. She didn't mean to, but she took my laptop. Michelle passed out the strategic plan information form. There's a state unit on aging component and there's an aging network component. She'd like you to provide at least just one strength, weakness, threat, and opportunity on each side, especially for yourself and us. This information is important as we resituate our strategic plan and offer it up for approval. All right, who's joining me up here? I can. While we get situated.
Okay. The strategic plan is a 5-year plan that we submit to the state, and we update it every 3 years. In the past, the strategic plan wasn't changed or modified very much, but because of COVID and this wonderful thing called health pandemic, we felt it was important to reach out and make sure that we have input from you guys. So if you do not mind, strengths can be anything. Strengths can be institutional knowledge, can be communications, can be collaborative effort. Your weaknesses, same thing, opportunities. Your threats can be funding, can be retirement, can be age, because we have a lot of directors and staff members within the councils on aging and within our department that are reaching that point of retirement, and you just don't ever know. Someone could win the lottery like Miss Pat and just decide to go to Jamaica. I mean, she went to Cuba.
She doesn't eat the lottery.
No, she doesn't eat the lottery. But what we're trying to do is we're trying to get input on ourselves as an agency, GOEA, as well as the Aging Network. So this is due June 30th. So I would like for y'all to put one statement per thing on the front and back and turn it back into me if you don't mind. I would much appreciate it. And Julie was the first to turn hers in. Thank you, Julie.
So I'll win a nipple pack. Yes.
I told you, you get a nipple packet. Come to my office, I'll give you a nipple packet. But I do appreciate all your, if you have any questions, just a sidebar. Any questions? Huh?
Did you hand that out?
I did, but you were talking, so.
No.
She would never do that. She would never do that.
I did. I was talking to them, she didn't give me.
We'll probably send an email out later, and if you've already completed it,
Yes.
This is what I thought your strengths are?
Yes. Yes. GOEA strengths.
I'm gonna have to hang out.
I'm excited.
Show up, you know, the code.
All right, we are ready to roll. Jerome has the first comment. Yes, sir?
Hi.
Hello.
One of the things in your projected area plan document, particularly on the page number 9, I'd say the last page, but who knows what the last page is? On page number 9 of the two-page document,
Yes.
an interesting thing that's on there, at the top of that, it talks about making sure we find a ways for aging to stay, to age in place in communities.
Yes.
Which has always been the objective of area agencies, for councils on aging, and for most local service providers, is to have them stay at home as long as possible.
Right.
Okay, my question is, based upon 3 E&D services that are there seems to be a much greater need for more support coordination at those local levels and case management at those local levels to achieve the kinds of things that are stated in this document. I don't know that many councils on aging have individuals that do what we call case management or support coordination. So I'm requesting that the governor's office and local area agencies look at finding ways to support that, not only in conjunction with services that they provide under 3B and 3C, but also under 3E and D, to do that, to ensure that we have continuity in serving seniors in our communities as a part of that process. And that's all I have to say about that.
I agree. There's a lack in that area. We've actually had at least 2 councils try in the last 2 years address needs in these areas, but it is hard because of the entities that need to be involved under case management. Jessica and I spoke about this from a TA perspective. They have these technical assistance billboards built into the ADRC component, and one of the methods of delivery now for case management, which to me, it sounds good. I just don't know how the outcome is being received by those participating in it, is electronic delivery of services through electronic devices in order to keep individuals paired with those companies. The gap that we're experiencing is the follow through. If I send a client to a caregiver service, and I'm not just saying a home health service, but just in general, a case management related service. They need transportation, they need in-home care, guidance, they need medication support. That is 3 different entities. The 3 entities aren't communicating, but they keep referring the person over and over again to one another. So if we put the electronic component in place, then they're entering this information in a database that is texting out this message to the client that says, we told this entity about you. So when they contact the entity, they know they told you about me on this day, then they can go back and trace it and say, oh, we did get your information, here's your file. Not that immediate, oh, it gets to the doctor's office, oh, I don't have it on hand, so let's just start over and act like nothing already exists. That's become a problem when it goes to caregiver services and case management. So there is something going on the ACO level on how to address that. I made a note so that we on State Unit on Aging level can look more into this and see how we can help keep those links in place. Ms. Julie?
To that point, St. Tammany began doing NFCSP Title IIIE case management just prior to COVID, I think is what it was. And we've had a tremendous difficulty trying to get it rolling, only because, you know, all the meetings were canceled and we couldn't do home visits and blah, 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 blah. I have an amazing case manager who's just had tremendous this difficulty connecting. Is anybody else doing that case management? Because I'd love to chat with anybody else who's attempting that.
You're my only one.
Oh, I love being unique.
From aging, from OEA aging, or just the
Well,
parish?
The parish does it, but if there's case management, most of our clients under elderly are receiving other assistance, so they're doing the case management for them as well.
Oh, right.
But they set up a separate satellite office during the pandemic, so that they can all go to that one area and they have it, protected with all the things they need to protect themselves. But that is very helpful, to have a separate case management section, so to speak, that does all of the case management for every area.
Okay.
Is this not where the gentleman that spoke yesterday could come in with the referrals and the everybody would have to be involved.
United.
Different entities. Yeah.
We are using that, I have since actually, the United program.
It seems like that would be a good place to maybe start.
Not the ADRC's case management?
The ADRCs, if they could support case management by keeping individuals like Unite Us in play, but they can't do the case management for you. Because the ADRCs have at a minimum 1 to 2 staff members that are actually doing the resource support for you guys. So they're still dependent on companies like this to be available, which they have a liaison for every partnership that they're entering into, because what they need to do is refer the person to that entity and then make sure the entity is actually helping them, not just receiving these names and referrals and saying, oh, we'll add them to the list for help, but never actually follow through with the help. So we've tried, we're using the ADRCs or repositioning them to better assist, so that you have that one area call or message, and then they reach out to the 50, and that makes it a lot easier for everyone to just do what they need to do. We don't want them to have to give you some information and then you make another phone call. So the no wrong door method is in place. It's just, y'all, there's nobody sitting behind the doors and we're trying to fill the doors up because we keep getting dead ends when we're reaching out for services. And COVID did not help at all, because some businesses are just completely defunct, or they don't have the workforce. So they're leveraging off of administrative functions only, which means they just exist. And they're trying to continue existing, but without a workforce, they can't get any work done. They can't actually bring in a person to help. So that's a challenge, but that one's on ACL's radar. And from both the no wrong door ADRC component as well as just the traditional agent network component. So this was, okay, we got those. Next question. Ms. Julie, you have Suwan's information. I'm just sorry. You can get with Suwan and pick her brain about case management difficulties and bring Michelle in so that she can, Nina's not here this morning. I'm sorry, I had one program monitor that is not here, Nina Jack. She's out this morning. She may make it before we leave though. But bring in the program monitors and just have a discussion on it. We'll make the best notes we can so that we can kind of help you get the ball rolling or get you situated to continue your case management.
All right.
Ms. Tanner.
Ready for my list?
Yes.
Okay.
No, wait, change my mind.
All right. The ARC reports.
Right.
So the first thing is, and I think you covered it, but I want to make sure, can and how do we transfer funds across the ARC programs via the reports? Because the ARC reports we've got doesn't show that you can transfer from like E to C2 or B to C1 or whatever. So can we, and do we just need to go add a line and then do that like we did in the other reports?
Okay, so with the ARC funding, we did not allow, when we were in the pandemic, we had the 100% transferability within the same pots of money. We're not doing that with the ARC because if we gave you the opportunity to do it on the schedule of funding, so we didn't allow you to do that. throughout the year. So, I know you haven't gotten your ARC for the 23, those will be coming out and you will have a chance to do transfers, but it still will remain between 30 and 40% between B and C, and then, 40% between C1 and C2, and then 30% between B and C. The ARC money is a little different than the other monies that you all received, because we have to do match on that money, so we have to make sure that we maintain our maintenance efforts. So we didn't allow you to have that 100% transferability with those, and it's the intent that we will not be in the pandemic throughout the time that we receive that money.
So you said we can't transfer for FY 23?
When you get your schedule of funding for ARP, you can do it, but again, remember, it's the normal Title III transfer that we allow. It's 30% between B and C, and then the 40% between C1 and C2.
It says triple, like the AAAs, or does that go down to the COAs?
That's for the AAAs. So what the multi agencies need to do is see what the needs are for the councils that you're contracted with. So if they need to make transfers, they can, but they need to do that on that end so that you can do it when you submit your schedule of funding. Did I confuse anybody? Okay.
So we still have 100% transferability with the regular funds?
Up until, I'm gonna say up until June 30th, whatever we're doing now will stay in place for your regular Title III and the other monies that you have, but come July 1,
No.
I think we'll be, once the declaration ends, all of that ends. So, I would say up until June 30th.
Like the 3D, some things you're having, the regular funds are having difficulty spending, so we can use that for C2 and other funds.
Only in your regular Title III dollars, yes.
The regular funds.
Mm-hmm, yes. I saw, wait, hold up, Miss Judy, I saw her hand in the back.
Yes. How many years have we get the ARP money?
It ends in 24.
That's what I thought.
I know in the beginning when we were talking about the ARP, some of the guidelines were a little muddy, y'all were having difficulty figuring it all out. But can you confirm for me, because I seem to remember that the final thing we got was that we could use ARP money to replace some of our local funding, is that correct?
Yes.
Yes.
So how do we do that on the report?
Okay, this is what you need to do. It's been, every dollar that we give you, you want to spend it.
Yeah.
So if you can withhold your local dollars, spend our money first and then supplement with your local dollars, okay? Because our money, most of our money, you cannot, especially your Title III, you can't carry that forward. There's no carry forward on Title III dollars. So spend that money first and then supplement with your local dollars whenever you run out of our dollars.
Is that gonna be a line item on, so, okay, and if I'm envisioning what Julie's saying, here's my regular Title III report, here's my ARP report, is there gonna be a line item on the regular Title III that says ARP money and then this money's being transferred over into the regular?
You cannot transfer between Title III and ARP. You can't do that. There's different pots of money, so whatever you do in Title III, your regular Title III money, you should have reports that allow you to transfer between the reports, okay? But your ARP does not, so you can't transfer between ARP or you can't transfer ARP into Title III.
But you can promote local money and have ARP units and Title 3B units and all down.
Yes.
So we're gonna be tracking a whole other set of units.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Yes. Yes. Question? Oh, yeah, I'm sorry.
So I just wanted to make sure I heard you correctly. So we can transfer now Title III money, like from Title C1 to Title 3B?
What council are you with? cattle.
Cattle? Yes. And only in your regular Title III though.
Only in the regular.
Since the pandemic, you were given, the major disaster declaration allows you to do that. Because there are certain services that you could not provide, that you would normally provide, had the pandemic not happened. So they gave you the flexibility to.
I didn't know we could do it this year, I thought it did for last year.
Well, we're still considered in the pandemic, so that's why I say I'm until June 30th. We want you to spend your money. We do not want you to return to us Title III dollars. We do not want you to return to us state dollars. So please, within the guidelines, be creative and spend your money. We've always had the question, or always had the thing, we don't get enough money, we don't get enough money. Well, now you have more than you could ever imagine. So what we need you to do is spend your money correctly, not just in it, not you want to provide services, and I know there's some things that you may need to do for your agency, but please be creative, be within the guidelines that are presented, and spend your money.
So I have a question. Did this just change because
Between
the three you can transfer between 3B, 3C in your Title III programs? Did you just make that change?
No, we didn't. We started that with the pandemic.
I don't do that side.
We started when the pandemic started. We did start. We did for 2020. I'm sorry. When did the pandemic start? 2020, 21, and we're coming, and it just kind of seems the way the trend is going is that we're coming out of it here in 22. So we're going back to some sense of normalcy with what we do, but you still have the lingering effects there.
Okay, so I'm gonna beat this dead horse, because I wanna leave here clear as the sky is blue right now. And y'all, I'm asking y'all, because y'all are the ones out here doing it, they're up here telling us how to do it, but how are you counting our units in like AAA? Like how are, because like, and I'm gonna say what I was looking at doing, and now I need to go back to my meal. I was doing all these mom's meals, extra meals, because everybody's getting a meal, and I was gonna count that as my C2, but I've spent $200,000 in that, so I was kind of hoping today to get the answer and go, yeah, Tamara, take all your ARC money, put it in one big pot, and there was my meals. But now I'm here and I've got to do B and C1 and C2 and D and E. I ain't even getting D done on my regular money. I'm moving my D into everything else, and now I can't even move my D out of ARC. How am I gonna get, like, please, help me? In both.
We understand. I'm also sitting here going, how the heck are we gonna spend D money when I'm moving D money over here? Like, I'm just trying to figure this out before I get back up to the house and I can tell my kids in the house.
She may on Thursday or easily, I need to leave.
But we all gonna leave here with a better understanding.
Okay, so the general, to answer Tamara's question, is you're spending a lot of money on this meal delivery service. What essentially happens is on paper, you're gonna have to document how you're paying that bill. You run out of your regular Title III dollars in C1 and C2, the service delivery line for meals is open in B and in E. So you're using what you can out of B, you're using what you can out of E to pay the bill. You're using what you can out of ARC B, you're using what you can out of ARC E to pay your food bill. Because there are food services related to food delivery in B and E, that's just not right.
So I didn't go care plan all those people for B and E meal services, did?
No. You're putting them in WellSky in the sub-service related to the funding. So this is what I feel like it makes it much easier than what we imagine it to be when we start trying to figure out how to do this. we are not working under our traditional parameters of service delivery. There are no congregate meal requirements, no home delivered meal requirements. There are only age requirements. You need to be 6 years or older to receive a service. So we don't, I'm saying this carefully because we do care. We don't care if you're not homebound or you cannot get here to get a meal. We just need to get you a meal. So we just need to pay for the meals. So when you position your money and you're using it in order of expiration date and traditionality, your regular title $3, you've done everything you use paper, everything you can out of C1. Then everything you could out of C2. When you go in WellSky, because we are doing this because of COVID, we're not saying if you're in a congregate setting you're getting this meal, or you're homebound you're getting this type of meal, you're just getting a meal. You're putting your unit under COVID-19 C1 because that's the money that paid for the meal. It's not about who got the meal this time. It's the money that you used to pay for the meal. Then with your C2, you're putting it under COVID-19 C2 in WellSky. That's your sub-service under your regular C1 and C2. If you pay for it with ARP money, you're using sub-service ARP C1. With ARP C2 money, sub-service ARP C2. So, you're spending $200,000. If you break it down into your funding sources, $100,000 was used out of C1. Then how many other units that $100,000 covered? That's the number of units in C1 that I'm looking at you reported. That's what your hearing incentives. And then
you don't care if it's C1 or C2. You just care if they got just me.
if they got a meal. If they got a meal. At this point.
And you don't care if it's an increase in service as far as C1, or pull out our local and say, this is how much we're doing with ARP.
Correct. Correct.
Or even B or E, like you said.
Correct.
Put some meals in, okay.
Because we don't want you to be more stressed about how to meticulously track these things when ACL's rule is when COVID first hit, every meal is considered home delivered meals. So they had us move all the money into C2 and anything only went under C2. That was their tracking parameter. So the big picture is that when we roll all this up that we got from you guys, the feds want to know how much, when we gave you $100 million in C1, how many units did you provide? We gave you another in C2, how many units did you provide? We gave you some money in ARP, how many units did you provide? And then they actually do their own average costing and tell us, your unit cost went up 26%, explain this. Well, they already know, but that's our job, that's what we're explaining. That's why you're able to get the meal in the hands, eliminate your waiting list, and pay for the meal bill with the funding that you have. So we've opened it up. D does not have a home delivered meals option. So we go back to what Laura just mentioned, and the regular Title III dollars rate will transfer it out. Our dollars can't do that. We don't have a meal, no, we don't have a meal service at all in D. And then, we do some stuff and help you spend your money, because you can't send it back to us.
And in AAA, what are we putting in AAA ARP?
You use that to just support the service delivery, so I don't wanna speak too specifically, but that's an admin.
Okay.
Yeah, it's admin money.
How
So
do you spend your admin dollars now?
Well, I'm just thinking from my auditor, like my big auditor, that comes in, like, we're now gonna have to have another whole chart of accounts for everything that's ARP coding. So like, cause normally my AAA is whatever, my overhead cost, okay?
Mhm.
So now I'm gonna also have to start allocating some ARP overhead costs, which is the exact same as because there's no difference in being a AAA ARP or not ARP.
So you
just want me to throw some dollars.
It's the
throw
same.
some expenses over there.
How much some expenses you need? Because I can come over and give you some expenses, but you should try to pay some mine. No, but really, it's the same principality that you're following for all of it. Your admin costs are your costs. How do you cover those costs? You use your Title III admin dollars, and then you insert some other funding because we don't give you enough. Well, now, don't go to your other funding first. Go to your ARP AAA funding and insert those. If your admin costs have stayed steady, then I'm excited for you. But if they're slightly more than what they usually have been, your ARC AAA dollars cover that overage.
So, okay, and I understand what you're saying there, so like on our regular, let's just say AAA, our regular Title III money, we're gonna show the money you gave us, and we're not putting local, so we're showing a negative balance. Then over here on the ARC AAA, we're showing, here's the ARC money.
That negative balance, because that's all you have left to cover, and then your ARC money, and then you're zero.
Okay, so you're basically saying whatever's on the negative balance, just move that to an ARP expense?
That's technically, that's the amount that you need your ARC funding to cover. That's what needs to be covered.
Cause it's the extra.
It's the extra. It's what's
So
uncovered.
you aren't actually coding anything from a chart of accounts.
You are, because on your chart of accounts, you need to know that your cost was covered by that funding source. Your chart of accounts is necessary because, let's just say, you hired a person to handle your admin function. When you coded in your accounting system, you need to know how they got paid. They got paid with money at the bank when they got their check. But what funding source was used to pay that money, so that in your audit report, it shows on that AAA program column, GOEA revenue funding source, admin dollars, GOEA revenue funding source, ARC admin dollars, and it all goes into, that's the revenue sources, they break it out at the top. When it gets to the expenditure at the bottom, it's gonna have salaries. I add both of those AAA admin funding and ARC admin funding, it's gonna equal that salary amount that you have down there. Because as you said, we're just paying the salary. But if you're doing salary and fringe benefits and a little travel, and that costs you $66,000, then a portion of both of those funding sources cover that $66,000.
So what you've also just said with the units is, okay, go back and now you can put meals in B, or like for me, I don't know how everybody else is doing stuff. So how much backlash are we gonna get when we go in and go, oh, those 15,000 units are now gonna get moved from C2 to B?
I mean, Tim didn't come today, but,
Yeah, Tim ain't here to hear this. Somebody tell Tim.
Start posting them now.
he will, if you're able to do it yourself, and Tim, he's always happy to help, he does not fuss about anything, never, not to me anyway. So it's all about just doing it, just getting it.
So what you're saying though is maybe just go forward, don't start.
You can go back.
So
You can't go back. Yes, that was the thing. That was the thing that came up. I asked Tim about it, and there was a WellSky update to their system. If you create a service, a sub-service, or something in WellSky today, you can't do anything before today. And we don't live in that world, so they go back and fix it. Today for us is still May 3rd, 2021, depending on what we're working on. We're talking about ARC money, how to spend the money. You need to imagine that you are well before and prior to July 1 when you think about how you're spending your money, because we gave it to you late. And if we had given it to you early, then you would have planned to spend that money where you needed it. And that's why I really don't want y'all stressing about how to jump around and spend your money. Imagine this is May 3rd or anywhere through June 30th or even all the way to September 30th. If you had just had a plan to spend this money and do some stuff, what would you have done? That's what you do. So WellSky set that up and somehow locked the option to change the date. So now that's been corrected. I don't know if you have to call WellSky, I have to ask Tim, or you can just call Tim, he can do it. Okay, Sherry has confirmed. You can just call Tim and he can help you with the date situation so that you can go back and put those units where they go. And the long and short of it is we do the federal reporting. So if it's in the wrong place and they ask us, I'm gonna put on here, the bus got messed up, and we didn't, and that's where the units need to go, so.
How far can we go back? To July?
To July. Yeah, they should be able to go back to July.
Sherry, you have anything to add? No, what Shavon said was right. You can do it back to July, but not before July. We just did that report to the feds, at the end of June, so we cannot change those totals. But July.
Oh, yeah, Mr. Wan. Mr. Wan, you had a question? Oh, no, I touched on it already.
Any other questions? Yes,
Yes,
ma'am.
So the ARP funding, are we able to carry it forward to the next?
Okay, I was just about to address the ARP funding. Okay, so with the ARP funding, we're gonna do like we did with the FFCRA money. I know it's not fully expended, so we will allow you to carry that over. You do have until the end of the grant to spend the money, so you will have a carry forward or a cash on hand balance on those reports if you have not spent the money. So that is only for your ARP funding, only for ARP, okay?
And is it a specific percentage that we have to spend, or can we carry over as much as what?
We want you to spend every dollar that you have and that you can before June 30th. But in the event that you cannot, you can carry it forward.
Well, it's gonna be easier now that we can kind of.
It's not a percentage base. It's not a percentage base, to answer your question. We're not doing it on percentages. We're just, we just know that first of all, it did come out late, but then also, you may not be able to spend it all. Yes, ma'am? You're gonna carry it forward until the grant ends, but please do not hold the money. 24 for ARP.
So once we show the units like we did in March, we get that money, accounting wise, does it need to be kept separate when we get that reimbursement from our AAA? Or it just can go into the budget for that program?
Are you asking us to keep it separate?
Yeah, does it need, in the fund accounting, does it need to be separate?
Yes. Yes. I would suggest keeping it separate. Yes, ma'am.
Do y'all have any information you can give us on the SPPA contract that we just received yesterday?
Information such as,
Where do we find that out? Is it?
that's a different pot of money that you need to keep separate. It's a separate pot of money, and it's its own pot of money. It's not tied to Title III.
It's like that thing out.
Is it like the vaccine money, it's a separate pot of money?
It's a separate pot of money,
What you're gonna do?
and you have to spend it within the guidelines of STPH, yes. So the STPH it's a public health workforce grant that we got. It wasn't something that we applied for, it was given to us, so you have to spend that money, and it is designed for you to either employ or partner with public health professionals to provide services for the seniors. Yes, ma'am.
So I was at a conference with Ms. Shirley a week or two ago in New Orleans, and we went to a session about COVID. And I shared with Ms. Shirley that my concern was during COVID, we lost so many seniors. And so these other seniors had to go back to the centers, and those seniors were gone. And I wish that there was some type of mental counseling or sessions or grief counseling, and she shared that this money was
Yes, that's what.
so that would be a big thing to do, some type of grief counseling or something to have people come into the centers, because these seniors are now back there and they're missing their friends, they're missing the people that they've been with, and COVID took them away.
Right, and then, I don't think we started realizing how the effects that COVID had on everybody, but yes, that is something that you can use that funding for. It is, for you to partner with healthcare professionals, even if you have to subcontract with another company or something like that to provide the service, but that is a separate pot of money that needs to be kept separate and show how you're going to expend that money.
And I don't know if the staff can benefit from it either, but even your staff, they're going through issues because it lost these seniors.
Yes.
Okay, so in reading this contract and kind of thinking of what you're saying, part of public health, could we use this funding, like if we put on like the colorectal thing, maybe we had like dementia memory screening events, diabetes awareness, we have a vision clinic, anything that does public health, or is this just, I mean, because it says COVID, it also just says.
It says COVID-19.
It does say COVID-19 because this money was poised and situated because of COVID-19. But the initiative itself wants you to employ and expand, remember the word, the public health workforce. So you can get your staff training on how to be grief counselors, so they're getting training on how to be a counselor, and they're also getting grief counseling, so that you always have someone on staff. You can just employ a public health individual that will assist with your client needs, and you're doing this based on what your clients need. Because we did have the unfortunate situation, Ms. Evans already beat y'all to the punch because she's already setting up her counseling services. I'm excited that she had the forethought to do it, but it did come about because one of her seniors committed suicide during COVID. They could not deal with it, and this was before, like I was saying earlier, I told anybody, we're all behind, and it comes from the federal level because until something happens, we really can't address it. And then we get even further behind because we have to wait to get the information, understand the information, disseminate the information, and this is a consequence of COVID. They could not handle the unknown of what we were going to get through, and that was unfortunate for them. So her seniors are asking about that person. How come they couldn't make it? What happened? So they're looking for these services. Your seniors will tell you what they're actually in need of, and then you'll know what they're in need of. I mean, y'all don't know, I'm a diabetic. I'm the worst patient ever. I don't do right, and I'm gonna sit there and tell you I didn't do right. Yeah, oh, that's right. Yeah, she is right there. She told me the last time. So yeah, no, but I still have to do it. And the more education I have about doing it, then I will do it. It will set me back on track. But if I don't go to my diabetic maintenance appointments, I will get confused or just disregarding, because y'all tell me I look pretty when I come here and put my face on, and forget that I was supposed to take the blood pressure pill before I even lay down and go to sleep last night. And I'm not gonna care. And then Michelle Benson, because she's looking at me funny now, gonna tell me I need to get my life together and I should do better. And I'm gonna feel bad, y'all. I'm gonna say okay. And then I'm still not gonna do it. That's just how it goes. Yeah, I'm not. But then when my doctor tells me I have to come every 3 months, I have to give them $25. I'm too cheap for that, and I have to buy these prescriptions, and I can't just eat a salad and feel better about life. Then I get my eye open. So just imagine, I am a grown adult. I do this all the time.
So my question was, can we use it for these other things, or does it have to be something?
You use it for all of those things, because you know that about your
They didn't
participants.
get touched during COVID, so now we're bringing them back to it.
You're bringing them back to it, and you're also reminding them, this is another piece of it, that no matter what happens, you always fall off, but you always have to get back on track when it comes to health and wellness. It's also, you're addressing it with your seniors, but you're also needing to address it with the community. So you're doing an event, you're not just saying only the seniors and they gotta come drop off grandparent or an uncle that are older, you can come too. Because I need my participant, my 60 or older participant, to know that if you're gonna help with the grandkids and they always snot nose, you need to tell your children or whoever brings those snot nose kids, they cannot come over here because you won't give them some vitamins or something. Or equip the parent or the grandparent or the aunt or uncle that's helping with these kids to be comfortable getting those vitamins for those young kids that they want to help and be around. But they're not helping their own immune system if they're not staying conscious enough to know and share this health information. So some people just don't know. They're not me. I know, I just hard here. But they need more help with being, I just saw this in the doctor's office when I went yesterday. Social distant, not medically distant. That's what it was a cute phrase. Socially distant, not medically distant. So if you got a question for your doctor, you need to not be afraid to do a telehealth appointment and get the information that you're gonna need. I'm gonna come back to Ms. Becky, Ms. Julie had a question.
Alright, so I hear everything that you're saying, but I'm looking at my contract here, and it says it's for Part C nutrition services.
That is a technical OAA term, we only have so many things. Nutrition services don't require a lot of anything, you just have to be 60 or older. And you don't have to be 60 or older unless, well, if you're in a certain situation according to the guidelines. So this goes all the way back up to the OAA manual itself. All that little bitty fine print, 301C, F, A, B, I, D, E, F, it just has to follow that stuff. So that part is a technical thing.
Worry about it.
No, you don't have to worry. That's housing it in that statute, or whatever they want to refer to as, allows us to not have to only do 60 and older if they're this, that, or the third. It just says community, public health workforce, because if the community is healthy, then our older participants are healthy.
So that was the pot that this fit best into.
Yes, and that came from the Biden administration. We didn't have to have any input there.
Thank you.
Okay, I need to go to Becky, and then I got April. Let me go back to Tamara. Tamara, another thing is getting those things and doing all those things is an option. Another thing that came with this, and Shirley, I told them, Shirley, how I was getting crybaby about this whole thing, I want to do it, but you walked me through it and read and basically told me, just, you gonna do it. And I'm okay with that. So we have a position that comes with this grant. So we have a person in-house that will set all of this up. And I know I like charts and visuals, so they will be able to give you this printed material and guide you and say, if you're gonna employ someone, employ these type of individuals that do the whole list of things. If you wanna certify your staff, do these things. If you wanna buy equipment, then you can do these things. So it's gonna be a help to have that one person focus on that one thing, because this funding is like vaccine outreach. First of all, we don't want it back. Second of all, you have to take it. Third of all, you have to spend it all. So there's gonna be so it'll be some guidance that'll help associate, and I love overlapping. So I want this to overlap into other service units. So where you're using this money to employ and give them health education, remember public education in 3B is a service. Public education in E is a service. Nutrition education. Some people just forget to eat and they have to take their meds. You end up with more nutrition education units, and you're getting these units where you need them. Because in the long and short of it, it all flows into the Fed saying how effective is this money. If it's not effective enough, we're not gonna allow them to use it the way they want to or traditionally how they used to, and then they change stuff. So that's where we want to overlap and get the units. Ms. Becky, Ms. Becky, you had a question.
Did I? Okay. When does this start, this other one? This
July 1st.
So FY 23?
Yes, FY 23. Ms. April.
That answers my question, because we're doing the budget revision, I was wondering if we had to include this
Yes.
in our budget revision.
Yes.
Not in your, no.
Oh, wait, no, I'm sorry. No, not budget revision.
Not in your
Original
budget revision, in your new budget for 23.
So how do we record, we did the, education?
In the new budget?
For the vaccines, for this,
The vaccine money you should be spending now, so
but
that's,
how do we record that we spent it?
you may have to.
Do you have a financial report for vaccine?
Yes. They may have to put it account for other and put it.
Okay, so in the budget for vaccine outreach, if you're not covering any salaries with this funding, you're just doing events and booster clinics and things of that nature, put it in the direct cost section of your budget and add it to, remind me of the column there. Other GOEA, and 100% to other GOEA.
Guys, we don't have to,
No, for vaccine outreach, no.
so we can send out a flyer, post it on our website, stuff like that?
Yes. The vaccine outreach funding does not have a unit tracking component.
And how far that goes back?
Vaccine outreach, just this fiscal year? Just this fiscal year.
22.
For 22, July 1, 21 through June 30 of 22.
Okay, I must have missed something. Like NIPA, you don't put that in your budget, right?
Yes.
It goes
So
under.
I thought the vaccine, you don't put it in your budget.
No, remember you put in your budget. You put everything goes in your budget. So on your budget different, we don't want to.
We can discuss it one-on-one.
Yeah, your budget's different, so it hasn't been in there, it may have just been overlooked, because we're always trying to make sure you're kind of straight, so. But yeah, all funding goes in your budget. And now I mentioned all funding, if you're not using your ARP funding, if you're not talking about this, if you're not gonna use your ARP funding this year, we need you to document it in your budget, because it's gonna tie back into your audit reports. In the audit reports, and this is gonna be something in print, we were at the meeting, we talked about this. Because we already gave them the money, we have to put this money in the audit report as received. It's gonna have your, maybe on the 9 major schedule in your audit report, it's gonna show all your ARP fundings. If you're not using, this is if you're not using this money. It'll have GOEA revenues, give the amount of money that we gave you in each one of the ARP funds. It will have everything else zero, and then it'll have a cash on hand balance for the exact dollar amount that we gave you. That's how it would have to be recorded in your audit report. So in your budget, on your budget justification page, you're gonna put that and acknowledge that you have received ARP funding in these amounts, AAA, B, C1, C2, D, and E. Give us the dollar amounts that you got, and that's the only place you have to put it in your budget. That is the cleanest, easiest way to document ARP funding that you are not using, like not using any of it. That's where you put it in your budget.
We are gonna use.
Yes. Miss Jackie, yeah, and then I'll go back to Miss Ann.
Title 3E, caregiver support groups. We couldn't do them because of COVID, and then with us having hurricanes, this really was nowhere to meet. So what we did with our provider was, she started going to the homes and doing Zoom meetings and counseling them one-on-one. We just was in panic mode and doing everything, and then when we sat down the other day, we was like, we didn't get permission, or we don't even know how to track, because we don't have counseling in our services exhibit. It's not approved for us to do counseling. So what we've been doing, we didn't lose the support group. Our support group people we kept up with because they needed us more now than ever. But we didn't get it approved by you guys to say, y'all can counsel them, she can counsel them in the home or through Zoom, so.
So because you had to be creative in what you did to meet the needs of the seniors, then you won't be penalized for that. But in all actuality, prior to, if you need to add a service or change a service, you do need to go through the process. But I understand, given the circumstances that we're in, you had to convert what you were doing to a more efficient way to spend the money.
This will be through
The end of the declaration.
Can I get extra 6 months?
Question back.
So, because of the emergency declaration, I know I'm always gonna be in trouble. So, you didn't need approval. So you just go and account for those units. That's one of the reliefs that we could give you. If today you didn't need this, but today you didn't, tomorrow you do, then you needed to do what you could do, and that helps you spend your money. So you don't need to document it. You don't need to have a predetermined unit cost. All of this is kind of back end. Like I want you to imagine being able to do everything you're doing, and then on the back end you say, this is everything I need. I'm like, okay, well here's your money. So we can find a way to make it work, but you have all of the freedom to do what you need to do, and you don't have to change your area plan. I don't need those.
But after the declaration, then all that changes.
You go back to normal.
Yeah.
And we don't know when that's going in.
We don't. So you want to hustle and take advantage of everything you can right now. I will take 30-day grace period and ask for one, and I expect ACL to give us that. If the declaration ends tomorrow, you guys will still do everything you've been doing through June 30th. You cannot change anything you're doing because that's too quick. You can't stop you there. So if it's July 2nd, then we just gonna push on to August 2nd, right? We're gonna do what we can do to August 2nd. We're gonna give you good time to situate. Yes. Oh, let me get Miss Ann. Is that Miss Ann?
Yeah.
Okay. I didn't see you.
Rumor has it we're getting more COVID outreach money.
Who told you that?
You told me that.
Oh, I'm not sure. I don't know about that. Was that Miss Jan? Where'd you see that information?
I got it in an email.
sent that email? I didn't see.
I think everybody probably got around $3,000 or so. It was supposed to be double that amount.
Oh, that was an error.
Oh,
That was an error. We had to readjust dollars for. Which grant was that? That was which grant was that? It was art. It was art funding. I can't remember. It was the art fund. There was an error in the formula where it was saying the state was gonna pay more than what the state could afford to pay, and they had to be adjusted because that was. That's the amount.
Okay, so let me explain. You are still going to get what was that amount of money. It's just that you shouldn't have gotten it this year. So we have to go back and do an adjustment to the contract. But over the span of the contract, you will still get what you are supposed to get.
Okay, but what about the budget, the revision that's already been sent, the revision is already.
We will make accommodations for those who have already sent your budget in. We can do that. We can make adjustments. We can make accommodations because you've already sent your budget in. It's not. We're going to try not to burden you with stuff that we can handle on the inside. We're going to try not to do that because it's already a lot for everybody to do.
That was just that AAA line.
Yeah, it was just the AAA line, just the AAA line. Yes. I do apologize for the inconvenience. That was it?
No, another question.
Did I get, Monica, did you have a question? Okay, Ms. Tam.
What's going on with that texting program y'all talked about in December?
It's still there. We still have it. Jessica is poised to do demos. She'll reach out to you guys individually. It was every time we got situated, get ready to do something, there was either a weather event or a COVID outbreak, and it just turned into a major stall. But it is still there. We actually still use it in the office to kind of play with it. The whole department sit through a training on it, and Justin and I just talked about this yesterday because that's part of the component that we will utilize to get you some units of service under E or B in home services, since it's still a little iffy in that area and that you can go in and do those things. Jackie, this is one thing that you'd be able to utilize, those individuals that you have doing that. Use the alert media system, put their names in there, auto blast the Zoom links. There's no emailing and adding all these names. That's something you can utilize to grab even more units. That was on the TA website. That is ACL encouraged, and it does still exist. So our next step is to poise that to do it again so that we can actually get you guys set up. Now, I will tell you this, and I don't know how well it's gonna do for alert media. Jeff, that did My Senior Center, he has that option in his My Senior Center platform. So it's good, but then it's like, we don't have to break up with alert media, can't bounce over. Ms. Tamara, who is doing your electronic SAMS data transfer system?
From Senior Stat?
Senior Stat?
Well, we use Senior Stat kiosks.
Okay.
And then that's where our seniors, the sites, they swipe in or clock in, and then we import that data over into WellSky.
Did you see the My Senior Center demo? Is it similar to yours?
Oh, yes, yeah, it's exact.
Is that?
I mean, they do a newsletter, ours doesn't do a newsletter, but no, it's the exact same system.
Okay.
But back then, cause I've had mine, I was the first in the state, but now I think we're one of 5 with Senior Stat. But back then, they were the only ones that integrated with WellSky.
Okay.
But that was one thing that Senior Center, that was the issue, they came to me and I was like, I can't go to y'all if I can't get my units over.
In WellSky.
And then they made their program match up.
Al, are you guys using it in Jefferson?
We stopped. We're still using it at the Gretna Senior Center.
Okay.
But we stopped primarily because when y'all would come out and audit us, there was a discrepancy between Senior Stat and SAMS. So we said it's not worth having.
Was it a bad discrepancy? I know I didn't say that.
I forgot it came from my office.
Oh. Do you miss it? Do you rather have it?
Some liked it, some of the coordinators liked it, some didn't like it. So we just decided it wasn't worth having.
One thing you
think about it. Now, what did the seniors think about it?
Some of them liked it, you know, they found it very convenient to check in. And some of them didn't like it, they'd lose their card. And then, of course, we had a system of putting them in as a guest. So it wasn't a real problem. But they're just so used to signing everything that that's what they expect to do. And when you offer them an alternative to signing their names, they're not happy with it.
Now, one
We're
thing
also
that-
worried about who can see it. If it's in the cloud, who will be able to
Right.
see the information?
One thing that we did though, because when we first started, we were putting, if our activity calendar had 9 things on it, every single thing was on there. But you can only count 1 recreation day, you can only count 1 exercise a day. So we have now, I don't know if anybody knows what the KISS method is, but keep it simple and significant in my building.
Yeah.
Now we have lunch, daily activity, daily exercise. That's it. Now, if we have yoga or something that I'm paying a contractor for, that's a separate one. But overall, I don't care if I have bingo and cars and this and 5 recreation. It's just, you're here for daily activity, you're here for daily exercise, and you ate lunch.
And you do whatever you do.
3 little buttons, and every now and then, if there's crime prevention, that one goes on, but our seniors know now, instead of having to hunt, or they would go, well, I'm here for beanbag. Well, it's on the second screen, like that was just getting too complicated.
Okay.
So we found just simplifying it has worked amazing in our sites now.
So we are down to 1 minute left.
30 seconds.
Been pretty good. Are there any other questions? I mean, I want the hard, ugly, I want to run away questions.
Y'all can serve your survey. Oh, I have a question. Can I ask?
Mention it.
Are we gonna have like a group training on 4-year plan?
Yes, we're still gonna do the group trainings and try to make them regional and limit them in size so it's easier to get questions out and, structure them regionally. Like, I'm thinking 4 regions. We're gonna split the state into 4, not 2, it's still, and then we'll plan those and roll through. Because we'll have a planning session in the office to get a timeline situated and get you guys this information as much as possible, as quickly as possible.
If anybody has any questions they wanna ask one-on-one, we will be around for a few more minutes.
Not really. Really the only thing about NIPA is if you have any questions, it's probably easier to call me because there's so much, money still left on the table and what you need to do to spend the money. And the other thing is I do have bags at the office. So if you wanna contact me, you wanna pick some up before you leave downtown today, let me know. I'll stay late if I need to. I'm there till 4:30 anyway. So, you can either email me or you can call the office.
Where the bags are.
It's promotional items. It has, oh Lord, it's been a while. It's a bag, hand sanitizer, bag, notebook, pen, golf balls. Yeah.
A little bit of that.
Yes. Okay, so the other thing Michelle wanted me to bring up is the banners that were in a case that you stroll up. If you need one of those, email me and let me know that you
two additional things, annual meetings and service deliveries, everything you're doing is all about how you can proceed during the existing time that we're in for your area. So I did mention that meals, we're just counting meals as we can. You still should be preparing to get people back on track. Because we want to be poised to only take a 30-day grace period if we need it. For those individuals that can drive and they've just been taking advantage and letting you use all your gas money, cut them off. But you gotta get notice. In 30 days, I'm gonna need you to use your own gas and come get this milk. And if you're not necessarily homebound, you cannot. Now, you're retraining your participants, but you still get that relief of not working under our traditional parameters. We do wanna do that. I know that Cajun's already sent out a notification. She CC'd me on her email. She's already sent it out, told them to get ready. She beat me to it. I don't feel bad because she said I can use her form. I'm just gonna put my letterhead on it and send it to y'all and say, start getting ready to get them reacclimated. Because they're gonna fuss about it and say, I know, but this money doesn't last forever and we want to still be able to continue services. We need you to get ready to do what you're doing. I mean, if you go back to takeout, they have not taken that away from us. Drive up, say, well, I'm so busy now, I just don't want to come since you won't just bring it to me. I don't want you to. I'm sorry you feel like that, but it's still gonna be available for you to get if you could just come pick it up. It makes it a little easier for you. Also with annual meetings, kind of the same thing. You may have low participation. At this point, before I'm like, no, because you don't want a lot of fuss about who can't make it and who can't do what. At this point, if they're going to Walmart, or they're going to the Jazz Fest, or they're eating crawfish in a group full of people, you can come to my annual meeting and get this free meal I offered you and all these other incentives and vote on your board members, and that is enough. So be prepared for conducting your annual meetings. We have worked up your board rosters. You haven't actually received them in hand, but they are worked up, ready to go. Some of them probably still need a little update. So don't worry about that portion of it, getting the board members together. Unless you're in a situation like Mr. Tommy's board members don't want to leave, they don't have to go. They have to go. We'll work with them as much as possible. They're welcome back in a year or two, but they have to let someone else take a turn. When you're conducting your annual meetings, you still need to give the notice, the 2-week time for them to join the membership. So you're not required to put it in the newspaper and beat the 21 days or make the 21 days or more and have it in the newspaper because it became a lot. This is a public body requirement. So you, the legislature, Congress, everybody's having to do these things if they were handling business. You can put it on your website, post it at your office, post it at the place of the meeting if it's not your office, put it on your Facebook page, Instagram, Twitter, as long as it's posted within 24 hours of the meeting. I just realized that this piece was missing from what we're giving you. You still need that 21 days to give people time, or 2 weeks, it's actually 14 days, to give people time to join your council on aging. This is where anyone 18 and older says, I want to be a member so that I get council on aging information and I can be there to help support your services, not just your 60 and older that are actually receiving your service. So come up and join your membership roster and be there to vote at all of these annual meeting things that you have. So you're still giving them that time, just it doesn't have to go in the newspaper. You just post it on the wall and say, you can join this council on aging at any time during the year, except 2 weeks prior to the annual meeting. So, and that's it, and those, because they close 2 weeks prior to the annual meeting, so you have time to situate everyone, make sure you have your voting members all situated. And annual meetings are yours to pretty much situate. Be okay with preparing an annual meeting, getting set up, and conducting an annual meeting, even if your annual meeting month was in December, because December is not too far gone from us, or too far past from us. But if your meeting is in August, you may not want to put too much effort into having a meeting now and then have to do it again in August. So you're just kind of gauging where you need to be when you're conducting your meetings. And then budget. Evie and I talked about budget, Laura. Here, I just whispered this to her, so you okay with me repeating the pool and resources page update. There's an electronic form on the pool and resources page. If you do not have it, email one of the GOEA staff members, Ebony. Email Ebony Green, the audit supervisor. We did an update on the form to tell you where to put your money. So it's easier for us to see that you acknowledge you received this certain type of money. That's the biggest change in the budget, and pretty much I wanna say the only change we made in the budget. Because we need just some page that records, I know I got this certain dollar amount of AAA dollars and AAA art dollars and vaccine outreach, and it's all separate. Your traditional GOEA contract column, that is just for your traditional everyday pre-COVID, only money we ever gave you ever, that's where that money goes. And then you'll extend the columns out to record the money. When you're on worksheet 1 though, you're simply just saying, I have all these expenditures, and this is the line items they're associated with. So you'll have your Title 3C1 worksheet 2. We don't need a Title 3C1 ARP worksheet 2. We don't need that. But if you do it, that's fine. We will take it and review it. But we want you to just keep it simple.
Have they sent that form out yet?
Yes.
When?
Maybe
It was not February.
February, end of February.
It was not too long after that, art Zoom that we did.
The art.
Shirley, and that might be like 2 days after that. So if you don't have it, you need to email your program auditor, or you can email me at Ebony, EBONY.green, like the color green, at LA.gov, and I'll forward it over.
What we'll do is just resend it out to everybody, just so you have it, so that you won't get a whole bunch of emails, we'll just resend it to the network and everybody.
Oh,
Okay.
and when I resend it, please, cause I don't know everybody's bookkeeper, whatever type of person, please forward it to them too. But yeah, I'll just resend it to everybody, but it did go out.
Ms. Jones, it looks like the PDF I sent with the colors on it, the charting I sent, it's the charting. I just made it an Excel sheet. So it looks just like that. And yours isn't gonna be like that though. Cause yours is gonna be a little different because you gotta break it out for your people. We'll get you. It's gonna be easy.
That'll work.
Yeah, it's gonna be easy for you, like super easy.
That's the revision.
Laura, is that the date, April 30th, the revision? Yeah, the revision.
That's the revision.
June 1st.
Well, the budget that's coming to revision is gonna have to have the ARP funding on it, because we got that.
Yeah, that's why you
Yeah.
have a revision.
June 1st. New budget June 1st still? Do June 1st. You changed it to July 1st. They changed on the way, July 1st. Okay. So new budgets due July 1st, revised budgets due April 30th. And I did not update the service exhibit 2 form. It's not updated. Just do your Title 3 units and we'll figure out the rest of it. That's on my home form. Okay, that's everything. So Ms. Starling, Suzanne? Oh, see, that's not my area, Ms. Ann. I'm calling Ms. Darlene up right now, cause, I'm in the way. She wants to thank you, door prize.
One more question.
Yes, ma'am.
What files or reports can you keep digital?
Any and everything. That's totally up to you, as long as your board wants to spend the money to do that, as long as you have access to them. You can make anything and everything digital. Saves you time, money, and effort, you're good to go there.